What's up, boys? In today's video, we will be discussing how to find an uncontested drop spot for the upcoming solo tournaments. If this video helps you in any way, make sure to leave a like, and if you want more educational content in the future, make sure to subscribe. In my opinion, you should be landing at a POI to be uncontested. This might sound a little dumb, but there are many advantages to landing at a POI to avoid fights. The main reason you're able to avoid fights is through splitting the location. Most POIs have enough loot that you can just loot a few houses and leave. You can't do this at a shambles loot route, and if any part of your route is contested, you'll be forced to fight or be incredibly shambles. The first thing you need to do when finding your route is to pick a POI. This could really be any POI because most POIs have enough loot to be split by themselves. From here, you should be landing at this POI as many times as possible in Arena. Here I encourage you to fight so you can learn more about the location and where people land and rotate through. From here you should go into replay mode and look where no one lands or where the least amount of people land. Start landing at that building assuming it has good loot and decent position. And then start to look for other places, whether it's inside the location or outside of the location, to get extra loot. Now let's look at how I chose my solo loot route for solo FNCS and future solo tournaments. For solo FNCS and all future solo tournaments, I'll be landing at Retail Row. I start off my looting route by landing at this center house, which has a solid 2 chests, a lot of metal, and good positioning. From here, I'll rotate to the brick house and closer to the middle of Retail Row. From that brick house, I'll then go and rotate to the mountain north of Retail, which has another 1 chest. This gives me a total of 5 chests and a lot of mats. The most important thing to take away from this is that even though I was contested, I wasn't forced to fight because I was only taking a part of the location instead of fighting for the whole location. The most important thing you need to do when landing at a POI is to be adaptable. Create if-then statements about your drop spot. Say to yourself, if an enemy contests this house, then I will rotate here. Try your best to create as many scenarios as possible and how you would react to them in order to never be caught off guard in a position to fight. Let's look at how I'm able to adapt my drop spot and my loot route depending on who contests me. In this game, I was uncontested at center brick, but East Brick House was contested. Normally, if I was taking a normal loot route, I'd have to fight my opponent, but in this game, I just rotated down to the blue house, allowing me to get the most loot while remaining uncontested and not having to fight. The next most important thing to do when landing at a POI is to scout your drop. Look for where players are landing in your location and near your location. Use the information you get from scouting to adapt your loot route to avoid players. Knowing what locations in your location and outside of your location could be contested is very important so you can adapt your loot route accordingly in order to find the most loot. For me, I have to check all the buildings in Retail and see if no one's landing there, and the log cabin north of Retail and the house with the henchman chest to the west of Retail. Making sure you're both scouting and using this information that you get from scouting your loot route to adapt your loot route are the 2 most important things about landing at a POI while trying to remain uncontested. In conclusion, when landing at a POI, you need to have an adaptable loot route and you need to scout your drop spot to see where other players are landing. Anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you learned something new and subscribe if you want more content like this in the future.